So our next person that we get to hear from is Ofra.
Hello.
Hi there.
Do you want me to start sharing the screen?
That would be great. Absolutely.
Okay. Let me know if you can't hear the sound of the videos I'm playing, but if you're okay, I'll just jump into my presentation.
Okay.
So I just want to tell everybody that I teach a class at the University of San Diego. And when lockdown started, I was told I had to teach the class remotely and not in person. And I had no idea how to do it. And I was about to say, no, thank you. And because of these presentations, just for now, I got tools to be able to teach remotely. And I did. So I wanted to share that with everybody for that reason. And of course, also sharing what I learned from the Violet Oaklander method. So I'll start sharing the screen. Just a second. So this is my presentation. Play therapy with bullied and socially anxious children. It's using Violet's approach plus a lot of other modalities that I use, but I wanted to show you how I combined it. And this is a 7-hour class, and of course, I'm only going to use a very small sample and include a script for an intervention that then Karen can break everybody out into breakout rooms, give you the script, and you can practice it. Okay. So the first question I wanted to ask was, I'm teaching about bullying. Is there still bullying during the pandemic? And the question is, unfortunately, yes, bullying is alive and well. How is there bullying when kids don't go to school and don't even see each other, not in the parks, not in sports? Well, we all know they all are on social media. And even if they are not on the social media where they exchange information deliberately, if you go to TikTok just to watch a video, people can have comments, people can like or dislike. So that is a way of bullying if people don't like what you're sharing or say things that are negative about it. Specifically, I want to talk about Discord. I have one client whose only contact during the pandemic is connecting with a group of friends that she met on Discord. And on this platform, you can chat like having a phone call with a group of people. And there are administrators who have more power than other people in the group. And somebody didn't like what my client said and started making comments about her and excluded her and didn't let her post. So when I explain bullying, you'll see that this was very much a form of bullying. And not only did my client lose the group, she had nobody else. So she lost all her social contacts because of being bullied on social media. Now, if you work with very young children, you might say, no, they're much too young to be bullied. They're just playing games online, like these games, Roblox, Fishdom, very, very young games. Everybody plays Among Us now. And I have been on Roblox with a client on our remote call, and other players in her playroom online were really mean to her, making very, very mean comments to her. And she was hurt just as if she was at school and the mean girls were doing the same thing. So basically bullying continued. So that is just addressing just for now. Is there bullying? Is there social anxiety? Yes. I wanted to share with my class, before we even start talking about therapy techniques, what is therapy? If you had to put therapy on a bumper sticker, and I looked out for the word for bumper stickers for those of you in other countries, and in Spanish, and I think Italian, it's calcomania. It's a decal that you put on your car. So if you had to put therapy on a bumper sticker, how does therapy work? When you go to therapy, what is it? Well, it's basically notice it, notice what you're feeling, sit with it, stay with the feeling, and try to make sense of it. Or specifically in play therapy, we observe, we do a lot of tracking. Oh, I noticed you took the tiger and you put it next to the monkey. You name it. Oh, the monkey is feeling scared. The tiger is angry. And then you model how to cope with it. Basically, what would you rather do? What would you rather believe about the situation if this was you? And specifically, adapting it to the Violet Oaklander model is imagine the situation. Think of the experience that you're having difficulty with. Do something with it, draw it or sculpt it, make a presentation of it, and then be it. Imagine you are the rose bush and say, I am the rose bush, this is what I feel. And then I wonder if everything that you said here fits. Does this remind you of anything about the experience that you're having difficulty with? So when I talk about what is the part of the experience that is difficult, in EMDR, which is part of what I'm teaching, but I'm combining it with what Violet Oaklander said, is what is the part that wasn't integrated? Or in Gestalt, what is disowned? What didn't get processed? And I show a quick video that I made about what is it like when there's trauma? What happens in the brain? And I'll attempt to share it. And Karen, please tell me if everybody can hear the video. So I'm going to start this video. It's loading. Okay.
This is the brain.
We can hear, Ofra.
This is an event being processed through the brain. The information is processed at a pace that the brain can handle. This is trauma. Too much information, too much sensory input, too quickly. Some stuff cannot be processed.
Okay. Closing the video and back to the PowerPoint. So very quickly, I go over what is bullying, what is the definition of bullying. I'll just go very quick here. The old definition of bullying used to include violence. There has to be somebody being hurt. But I think that anymore, we just say there's some aggressive behavior with a hostile intent. The intent is to make somebody suffer. And there has to be an imbalance of power. That is really the key about bullying. Somebody is in a position that they have power over a more vulnerable person. And also this has to be a pattern repeated over time. It's not just kids in the park were mean to me and calling me names. Well, don't go to that park and that's over. No, if I'm in a situation that gets repeated and repeated and repeated, it's a pattern of aggressive behavior, or in other words, deliberately targeting those of lesser power is what makes a difference between bullying and just aggression. That somebody really is in a position when they can't get out of it. They are subjected to continued aggression. So I introduced to my class all of Violet's work and the work of students. I've used a lot of what Peter Motola taught in his university class about how to use the method. Oh, he has a lot of scripts, and of course, just hot off the press, the Spanish translation of Healing Through Play. And then we delve into using a method, the projective card. Oh, before I do that, just very quickly, when Violet uses the word contactful, I think some of my students might not know what it is. What is it to be in contact? What is contactful? So I videotaped a kid in my office who I thought was making very good contact with Bopper, the Bop bag. And I'll show you that video. It's very, very quick.
All done.
And that was it. I just thought that was very good contact. So I introduced this intervention, which we can practice today, is how do we use projective cards? But before I do it, it's very important for me to say it's not our projection as the therapist. It's the child's projection. This is an example from a projective card from the Dixit game. And this is a card where I asked a boy who refused to go to school, what is hard about school? Let's look at a card that reminds you of what it's like to be in school and show it to me. So this is the card that he showed me. And I looked at it and I said, oh, well, that makes sense. And it's very nice that I can show this card to the parents and say, this is what it feels like for him to be in school. Now, do you understand? Picture is worth 1,000 words. But then I asked another kid who happened to go to the exact same school what she felt when she went to school, and she picked the very same card. So it was very important to understand what is it about the card. It's not the card that projects, it's the kid projects their world on the card. And for the first boy who refused to go to school, he said, when I go to school, it's like I'm being eaten by a shark and I get chewed up and all that's left of me is my bones. That's what it's like for me to be in school. Okay, well, that made sense. When I asked the girl, what is it like to be in school? Why did you pick this card? Tell me about it. She said, I am the shark. I'm the best student in school. I'm the top of my class. Other kids are no match for me. And it's like, I can just eat them alive. So she actually had a very good experience at school, but same card can mean very different things. So that's why I say to be very careful that we don't assume why the child picked the card. Now, because I teach about bullying, I share a case. I share several cases. I'm going to share one case here. And what we're trying to find out when we look at the case is if you were the child experiencing the bullying, what is the part that's hard for you? What is it that you start believing about yourself? And this is from EMDR, blocking self-beliefs, and we call it an EMDR, negative cognitions as opposed to positive cognitions. What is the negative blocking belief that you have about yourself? What would you rather believe about yourself? So for example, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve love, I'm stupid, I'm not smart enough. And the opposite would be, I am good enough, I do deserve love, I can have something, I am intelligent, I am able to do things. So when we look at the vignette, we try to think, what would that child feel if that was going on with them? What is the hardest part that is disowned? What is hard? So I'm using a case study of a girl I'm going to call Roxanna. She was actually a client of mine in 12th grade. She's in a small private school, and until last school, she was one of the popular girls. But now it's reporting that she is, after she supposedly stole another girl's boyfriend, her group of friends has been excluding her. She's not invited to sit with the other kids at lunch. She's not invited to hang out with them. She doesn't have access to their social media, so she doesn't participate in all the chats. She doesn't know what they're up to. It's a very big part of social life. And there's rumors being spread around her. Rumors that she's using heavy drugs, rumors that she's pregnant, and she is actually very thin and athletic. And she said after several months, they would surely notice that I'm not pregnant, but the rumors persist. So the father asks the school administrator, Miss Kelsey, to talk to the students, and she does. Miss Kelsey does talk to the students and say, you're not allowed to say anything mean to Roxanna. So they agree, then they don't. Now Roxanna says when she passes other students in the hallway, they don't say anything mean to her, but they give a look. So this was an example of bullying can be so subtle, and we can't just tell people, stop, don't do what you're doing, because now they're just looking at her and saying, you know what we think about you. She's getting thinner, she's reporting anxiety, and she asks not to go on school trip. That's an overnight trip. So I asked the question, what would you feel if you were this girl? And a lot of students pick the word, I'm powerless, I don't belong. And we try to see what would come up if we use the projective card. What would come up for us? How do we help figure out what is the part that is not integrated? What is the part that is disowned, or what part I would say that Roxanna doesn't have contact with? So I use the projective card, and I have a script in the next page of saying exactly what I'm going to say now when I use the card. So pick a card that reminds you of the situation, think of it, and pick something in the card. So I pretend to be Roxanna and I say, oh, I actually picked the little tree in the background. Oops, I'm sorry. Going back to the card. I picked a little tree in the background, and I say, as a therapist, describe it. Oh, okay, it's a little far away. It's not in the center of the picture. It's bending. It's raining on it. There's a cloud of rain only on it. It's not in part of the action. It's far away. Therapist might say, oh, how far is it? Is it the only one? How is it feeling? Cold or warm? Oh, it's feeling cold. It is alone. It's far. And then I invite the client to say, I'm the tree, I feel. So I say, okay, so I'm the tree. I feel alone. I feel far away. It looks like everybody's having fun. This girl with the flute and the bird and the fish, they're having all the action, and I'm not invited. There's nothing I can do to get close to them. I'm a tree on an island. How can I get close to them? There's nothing I can do. So this is a way to say, oh, now I start hearing what is hard about the experience. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm excluded and I can't do anything about it. Now the therapist would ask, I am wondering if there's anything about it that fits for you. And the client could say, yeah, it's just like when the kids are excluding me and there's nothing I can do about it. Another part that I teach in the class, and I don't know if we're gonna get a chance to practice that, is, well, how would you rather feel about yourself? And in EMDR, we call it resource development. I think Violet calls it contact. You know, what are the things that are meaningful to you that you can incorporate into your life? So I imagine the resource that would be helpful in this challenging situation. How would a child like to see herself or himself? How would they like to feel? What would they rather do? So for example, they might say, oh, in this situation, what I need is to be stronger, or be able to say what I need, or to be able to say my feelings, or have confidence, or believe that I have the right to get my needs met. And then we invite them to think of any symbols or metaphors or known figures or cartoon figures or characters from stories that embody that quality. And then we can do a sandtray about it. And thankfully for this presentation, for now, I was using the online sandtray and practice that with my students. But we can also do drawing or puppet play. So that is the positive side of it. Once we understand what is hard, what was not integrated, we say, okay, well, let's do a drawing or a presentation of something that would be helpful. Something will help you incorporate or integrate the part that was disowned. So what I have now is a sample of a sandtray that somebody made, and it's very, it seems very positive to me. There's a lot of times there are weapons or military vehicles in the pictures, but also a lot of imaginary characters like a unicorn, and just a lot of sunshine and rainbows and hopeful images. So this might be, I'd like to feel hopeful. It would represent that resource. That's an example from a student that we did using the online sandtray tool. And lastly, what I have is a script, and Karen, you tell me if we have time to break out into breakout rooms. Imagine either the case that I presented or anything that you want to think about, and actually use the script and pick a card. And Karen, I don't know if you want to put in the chat a link to the projective cards so people can look at cards while they're doing it. I also suggested either leaving this, I have this in English and in Spanish, but I don't think we can share both. So I suggested sending a file. So everybody has a file with this script.
I'll see
I don't
if
know if you were
that's
able to do it.
Kathy was able to do that, thankfully.
Oh, great. So everybody, and I try to do it in Spanish. So the next page is the same thing, but in Spanish, it's basically guiding the therapist and saying, okay, we practice on each other. One person is the therapist, the other person is the client. Here's what the therapist would say, here's what the client would say, and just really word for word what you would do. So Karen, I'll give it back to you. If everybody got the file, I don't need to leave the PowerPoint on. I can get out of the PowerPoint.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, we don't need that. So that was, in a nutshell, a 7-hour class. I had a few other things with, with, of course, a few others. I think I stopped sharing the screen. Did I stop sharing the screen? Okay, I'll stop sharing. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, now I stop sharing.
Okay, terrific.
Okay, so I'm open to any questions before you invite people to go to breakout room and practice with a projective card. Okay, great. I see that the files were shared.
The files were shared. I will be.
A link to the projective cards, either the Dixit ones. I have the link in my PowerPoint and I can share it.
Oh, yeah. Kathy, could you also put the projective cards? There's so many options, but we could put in ours from Oaklander training, but there's a lot of great options for projective cards these days. Yeah. Inez has a great one too. Okay, so Ofra, thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, there's the link to the projective cards. That was so helpful, and it covered so many items of that's so valuable to all of us, which is about bullying, about how bullying can happen even from a distance, ways to deal with bullying that we actually can work with given online access and the tools that we have. And a script, just so helpful, so appreciate it.